from a practical point of view, what this report is really making the case for that you can drive your P&L. You can drive the top line and the bottom line of your P&L whilst doing societal good. And there is an intersection, and there is not necessarily a trade-off. And I think, if you think about that at a very practical level, and I'll give you a couple of examples, we fundamentally believe this. So can you do this? Absolutely. And, we're a global food business. We operate around the world. We have factories all over the world. We source materials from all over the world. We sell products all over the world. But fundamentally, a food business based on agriculture. So a couple of examples, and test your SDG knowledge here. So SDG 13, who knows what that is? Excellent.
Climate change was the answer.
Climate action. So, how does that relate to Mars? So if you think about energy efficiency in our factories, that's just obvious, isn't it? You do that, you use less electricity, you save money, and it's good for the planet, good short-term return for the business. So some of these are obvious. But then if you think about the entire carbon footprint of our operation, and going back to agriculture and all of the activities involved with that, massive carbon footprint. We have a carbon footprint the size of some small countries. And what's the return on us working on that? And it may be not quite so obvious, but dig a little bit deeper. And if you believe, as we do, that there will be a price on carbon at some point, then there's a huge competitive advantage from reducing our carbon footprint and reducing it in line with what the science requires. So there's a long-term return on that. A different example, if you think about SDG 1, no poverty. We have farmers in poverty at the start of our value chain, and that is unacceptable. And it's unacceptable from a moral point of view, but it's also unacceptable from a business point of view. It's in our interest that they're successful, because if they're not successful, they're going to do everything in their power to do something else with their lives than grow the crops that we want. So it is in our interest to make them successful, to get them to a sustainable living. And again, you have to think a bit hard about that, but there's a long-term return in that. And we can see that return, and that's why we invest in this. Some other areas are harder, things like water, investing in saving water around the world. It's hard to find a return on that because water is just so cheap. It's one of those, externalities which is very hard to bring into your P&L. But it's still the right thing to do, and you can find ways to get some return on that. So what we've learned through this process is if you really look at all of these things, some have great returns, some have medium returns, some it's harder to see a return. But if you take a portfolio approach, there is a return to this on the cost line. And then there's clearly, as Mark has talked about, a return on the top line. We can design food products, as we do, to feed the developing world.